everyone. This is Faith at Faith and Books. How are you doing? It is a beautiful but kind of chilly, I had to put the sweater on to come outside, spring morning. It's a Tuesday, so I don't have to pick up my grandkids till 11:30. I hope you can hear the bird song. And there have been frogs, bullfrogs down in the pond, down the hill here. Hopefully nobody will start up a lawnmower or a leaf blower because we get that a lot. It's very disruptive. Anyway, I was going to do a quick reading update, and then I was going to go into the list by Peter Kreeft, where he talks about the books you should read before you die. So that's what I'm going to cover in this video. So first of all, kind of unrelated, but I bought this book for myself for Mother's Day. I saw it on the channel Catholic Mom and Daughter. They feature a lot of books, and I just fell in love with it. I have a special soft spot in my heart for St. Hildegard of Bingen, and this was translated from the French, and it's just new out, I think it was last year. And it is gorgeous. It's St. Hildegard's Garden by Paul Ferris. And when I saw it, I thought, I want that. And so I splurged for Mother's Day. I hardly ever buy an expensive book for myself. This was $27, I think. But look at the gorgeous prints in it. It's just amazing. It's so neat. And it's also, if you don't know St. Hildegard of Bingen, she was actually never formally made a saint by the church. It was just by popular acclamation over the years. But I think she lived back, let's see, when she lived in the 1100s, or was it even the 1000s? Was it the 11th century? Does it say? Anyway, way back when. And she was, and I mean, let's see. A copy of her writings was shown to the... I can hardly read, so I think it was either maybe the end of the 1000s or the beginning of the 1100s, maybe. She was an abbess. I believe she was given, I might be confusing her with somebody else, but I think she was given the right to preach, she was allowed to preach. You know, women didn't preach back then, but the Pope so admired her, he allowed her to preach. I think that's true. I think I read that. But she wrote music. She was a polymath, really. She wrote beautiful music, and it's still played today. You can still hear it in sacred music realms. And she wrote these books on nature. She was an herbalist. She was considered sort of a doctor. And she wrote on theology. She was amazing. She was brilliant. She was an abbess. So anyway, I really, really like her a lot. And this beautiful book really does great homage to her. So yeah, so that was my Mother's Day splurge for myself. So I just had to show you that. I can't wait till I get my eyes fixed, and then I can really sit and read it. And then just to let you know what I'm currently reading, I started reading Farmer Boy to the 9-year-old grandson, and he's enjoying it. I didn't know whether he would or not, but he actually asked, will you read to me this morning? So yeah, so we made time for reading. So it's really interesting. In fact, today she mentions hoop skirts, and we talked about hoop skirts and how funny they were and how really a bizarre concept. But yeah, so this is really good. And then I finished the book. I finished The Two Towers. Now, I was listening to this, and it took me a while to get through it. I have to say, I kind of dragged in parts, like when they were talking about the Ents. And the thing is, the fantasy elements don't really move me or intrigue me. So the talking trees or fighting a giant spider, like that doesn't really do much for me. But he is such a beautiful writer. He can really craft a sentence, and he's so good at creating atmosphere. Like he talks about the smells of things. You almost can smell as he's describing things. You can smell it. And the countryside, just the geography, the topography of everything, what darkness is, you know, the different layers or levels of darkness. He just describes things so well, and the characters the people are real people. They really come off the page, and their relationships are so real, and the conversations are great. And even like I didn't know that there was a character called Faramir. So that was new to me. So my background with the Lord of the Rings is that my whole family was really into them when the movies came out, and I saw bits and pieces of the movies, but I never really paid attention. I didn't read the books. So I knew a little bit, but not a lot. So I really enjoyed meeting Faramir in this book. I love the way he spoke. He spoke in such a noble, I don't know, just in such a great way. I found myself wishing that everybody spoke that way. Life would be better if everybody spoke like Faramir, the way he expressed himself. So that was really delightful. And so it starts out, the book starts out where you're with, I forget now how it starts out. It doesn't start out with Merry and Pippin. No, it starts out with Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas. So what happened at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring is the Fellowship gets broken up. And so in the beginning, you realize they're all scattering. And what's his name? Frodo and Sam have escaped by boat. Frodo was running away by himself, but Sam knew what he was thinking and went to look for him and found him. And then Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas are trying to find them. They find Boromir. I won't tell you what, I don't want to spoil Fellowship of the Ring, but so all that goes on, and then they're searching for Merry and Pippin. So the orders have gone out from Sauron, the ultimate evil guy, that to bring, I think it's him, or maybe it was Saruman, the wizard that's turned evil, to bring in the hobbits, because they know one of them has the ring, but they don't know which one. And so they capture Merry and Pippin, but they don't want to kill them. They just want to bring them back so they can see if they can get the ring or find out more about the ring. So you follow them, and then they find Merry and Pippin. And Merry and Pippin go through all these adventures, and they tell what they went through. That's when you get into the talking trees or the Ents or whatever they are. And then it switches back to Frodo and Sam, and you're seeing it all from Sam's perspective. And Sam is a wonderful character, a really good character. And the thing that I'm finding is, and I had this from the beginning, just I wanted to see how World War I affected Tolkien's telling about war. And there's this one scene where they're traveling through this terrible marshy area, and they look down, and there's just under the water are all these dead bodies. There's just so many dead bodies. And that made me think, oh, I wonder if that's something from, trench warfare. And the talk of the stench and just the traveling over this desolate land to get somewhere. I just wonder how many of those experiences that Tolkien had in World War I affected a lot of these books. And coincidentally, I was watching one of Talia Nerd's Out's videos, and she mentioned Luminous Libro. So Luminous Libro is a channel that I was not familiar with, and I'm so glad that I now am familiar with it. I went and kind of binge watched it because I think her name is Kaylee, I think, at Luminous Libro. You might know about her. I didn't. She's doing this read along in June called Journeys Through the Inklings, I think is what it's called. I will link below. And so in June, I'm accidentally going to be participating because I plan to read The Return of the King and watch the movie in June. So I'm gonna, now that I've read this, I hope this Memorial Day weekend, it's a long weekend, I'm gonna watch the movie for this, The Two Towers. But anyway, so I'm gonna be participating in June, but I really enjoyed watching her videos because she gives so much information about the Inklings. And this all ties in with my Peter Kreeft lists, like the lists that I've been doing. The last video was on C.S. Lewis's 10 favorite books or books that most influenced him. And then I'm gonna do part of Peter Kreeft's list of books you should read before you die. And Peter Kreeft is very much downstream from the Inklings and G.K. Chesterton. So a lot of that stuff is in his list. So I sort of was doing my own kind of Inklings thing, and then I stumbled on Luminous Libro. So yeah, so I'll link all that stuff below. But she mentioned a book called A Hobbit, a Wardrobe, and a Great War. And it's exactly about the topic that I'm interested in, the influence that World War I had on Tolkien and Lewis. So yeah, so I really want to read that book. I'm excited to get that book somehow and read it. Anyway, so I finished The Two Towers. I really, there were times when I was kind of going slow because it was too much fairy tale. But when it got to the actual journey and the relationships, and just the sheer beauty of the writing, I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. So I'm really glad I'm working my way through The Lord of the Rings. I'm starting to get a sense of why people are so affected by it, so influenced by it. So, okay, now I have to go get my list because I forgot it, and then I'll start talking again. Okay, so this list about Peter Kreeft's 26 books to read before you die. Now, the way I found out about this list was that Mitzi Reads and Writes had left a comment saying that she was really interested in this book of this list of 41 books that were recommended by Dr. Peter Kreeft. So I Googled around, I was searching, and I found a vlog by Brendan Vogt, I think is how you say his last name, V-O-G-T. I had heard of him before. I actually have one of his books, but I haven't followed him closely in many years. And he has this blog post of 26 books to read before you die, and then there's a whole bunch of bonus books, and I think that totals up to 41. So I'm just going to go through the first 26 in this video. So I don't want to make this too long. So anyway, any kind of Kreeft, Dr. Peter Kreeft, who's a philosophy professor at Boston College and a prolific Christian writer, has categorized these into under different categories. So the first one is autobiography. There's a plane going over. The first one is autobiography, and it's The Confessions by Augustine, and A Severe Mercy by Sheldon Vanauken. So The Confessions, I tried to read that several times and failed. I was reading the John Ryan translation. It was dry as dust. I could not understand the appeal of St. Augustine. Then years ago, I read a sort of didactic, written in more modern language. It came out in the 70s, and it was kind of groovy. I can't remember the name of it. It had the word love in the title. And I actually read that with my teens when we were homeschooling high school. So I had a taste of it, but that wasn't the complete Confessions. So then I was trying to read John Ryan to read the whole thing, and I just didn't like it. And then, I meant to get the book and show you, but it's in the study. My husband's working right now, so I can't get in there. But finally, just a couple of years ago, I read the translation by Marie Bolding, published by Ignatius Press. And again, Talia at Talia Nerds Out was saying that it was the better translation, and it is. It's absolutely beautiful. It's amazing that the same book, translated by John Ryan, I could not get into, and the one with Marie Bolding, I was just really stunned by. It was just beautiful. So I finally conquered Confessions. It's so funny because I actually have read City of God more. I got more into City of God than I did Confessions, which just doesn't make sense. But anyway, the translation that Peter Kreeft is recommending is the one by Frank Sheed. And I have read one book by Frank Sheed called Theology and Sanity, which I had to read for an intro to theology course back when I was going to try and get a master's in theology. And that was in the introductory class, and it was Theology and Sanity, which was an amazing book. And if he translated the Confessions, I would be interested in rereading the Confessions, reading the Frank Sheed translation. That would be neat. A Severe Mercy by Sheldon Vanauken. I have heard about that for years. I would like to read it. I know they were good friends with C.S. Lewis. And I think they were Sheldon and his wife were atheists or something, and then they converted to Christianity. And I don't remember much about it. Sorry about all the ambient noise. But yeah, I'm interested in reading A Severe Mercy. Both that translation of Confessions by Frank Sheed and A Severe Mercy are books that I really want to read. Okay, novels. I've read both the novels several times. The first is The Brothers Karamazov. I've read that 3 times, but I've only read the Constance Garnett translation, which I love. Some people complain about. I absolutely love it. The translation that Peter Kreeft is recommending is translated by Richard Pavir and Larissa Volokhovna, something like that. That's the one that was linked from the blog post. So I'm assuming that's what Peter Kreeft liked. It would be interesting. I would like to read The Brothers Karamazov in another translation and see if I like it as much as the Constance Garnett. And then the other novel is Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis. That's my favorite book by C.S. Lewis. I love it. I just reread it recently, or not. I don't recently, like in the last couple of years. I remember my daughter tried to read it and she could not get into it as much, but did she finally finish it and like it? I can't remember now what we discussed this book. Anyway, I love Till We Have Faces. I understand that he was really influenced by his wife, Joy Davidman. And because the weird thing about Till We Have Faces, I think of C.S. Lewis, I think of both C.S. Lewis and Tolkien as very masculine. Like there's a lot of male characters, although, you have Lucy but anyway, I think of them, that way. But Till We Have Faces told from the point of view of a woman, and it's perfect. It's perfect. So I've already read those 2 novels. Plays, I've also read the 2 plays that Peter Kreeft recommends. A Man for All Seasons by Robert Bolt. I've read that, and then I've seen the movie at least a couple of times, and I highly recommend it. It's excellent, and it's the whole reason why I can't get into Hilary Mantel's books about Cromwell. Yeah, I just don't want to even go there, even though I hear she's an excellent writer, but I just don't even want to go there. And then the second play is Our Town by Thornton Wilder, and I have read that, and I've also seen a couple of productions of that. I've never seen A Man for All Seasons on the stage, only the movie with Paul Schofield, I think, playing St. Thomas More. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But I have seen Our Town, I think, a couple of times. And the last time I saw it, it was this amazing homeschool production of it, and it was phenomenal. It was professional level, even though it was homeschoolers. It was amazing. All right, then the epics that he recommends are Lord of the Rings, which I'm working my way through now, and Chronicles of Narnia. So the Chronicles of Narnia, I think I've only read 4 of them. I've read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Magician's Nephew, Prince Caspian, and A Horse and His Boy. I think those are the only 4. So I have more to read. I would like to do that maybe this December, like try to focus on finishing up the Chronicles of Narnia. Okay, so those one, I'm marking the ones that I want to finish both these epics. Okay, then he has a category called supernatural fantasy, and under that he has 2 C.S. Lewis books, The Great Divorce and The Screwtape Letters. So I absolutely love The Great Divorce. I've read that a couple of times, more than that maybe, and I love it. I just think it's brilliant. I have started to read The Screwtape Letters a couple of times, and I can't get through it because it makes me cringe so much, because it describes petty evil. Like it describes the most sordid aspects of humans, and not in the terrible violent way. That's something that always impresses me about Lewis. Here's a guy who fought in a war, but the evil he really talks about is the little petty nastiness that people have in their everyday lives with other people. That seems like it upsets him more than all-out war where people are murdering each other. So anyway, I would like to get through the Screwtape Letters. It makes me cringe. It's upsetting to me. And so I haven't been able to get through it. Okay, science fiction. These are two books that I really want to read. So the first one that he recommends is A Canticle for Leibowitz. I have been meaning to read this book for a while. It's my daughter-in-law's favorite book. It's by Walter Miller, and I had never really heard of it. But now I have heard the name, and my daughter-in-law highly recommends it. So I gotta get around to reading that. And the other science fiction is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And I've never wanted to read it, except I saw a really good review and analysis of it by this woman who does Charlotte Mason. It's called The Commonplace, and she does very high-end Charlotte Mason classical homeschooling. Like, she's very brainy. And she talked about the Brave New World, and it made me want to read it. I mean, I think it'll be really, really disturbing, but I think it'll be interesting to read. So, yeah, so I do want to read both of those. Science fiction isn't my number one go-to thing, so it'll be a little bit of a push. I'll have to push myself a little bit, but I do want to read both of those. Then under the category of spirituality, he lists The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence, and The Story of a Soul by Saint Therese of Lisieux, I'm not sure how to say it. And I've read both of those. I read The Practice of the Presence of God not that long ago, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, with Christy Lewis had it for one of her, I think it was a Lenten read. And I was in a group that was doing that, and it was amazing. I'd like to go back. I feel like I didn't appreciate it enough the first time, and I need to go back to it. It was written, in the Middle Ages or maybe High Middle Ages, Renaissance, by a head monk who was giving advice on prayer to monks. So some of it applies to monks in that time, but there was a lot of truth and insight in it that would help anybody in prayer. And then The Story of a Soul I have read. Now, I had a really hard time reading this on my own. I had to listen to it finally as an audiobook because I kept just not finishing it, because for some reason, I find Saint Therese kind of saccharine, and I just couldn't get over that. And so, but I kept, all these people that I admired would rave about The Story of the Soul, and I'd seen movies about Saint Therese, and just all sorts of things. Like, I knew all about her, but I couldn't read her simple book that she wrote. So I finally got it on audio and listened to it, and that's how I finished it. Last year, I think I read a very good biography about Saint Therese by Dorothy Day, which was excellent. So I really appreciate Saint Therese. I just had a hard time getting through The Story of a Soul. But I have read it. Okay, and then the next category is apologetics, and he's got the Pensees by Blaise Pascal and The Problem of Pain by C.S. Lewis. I tried to read Pensees by Blaise Pascal, and it's just a collection of his writings, and I got the Penguin edition. I really think Penguin doesn't do religious stuff very well, because I also got their collection of St. Hildegard of Bingen. It's dry. I don't know. And so the Pensees, I don't know if it's the translation or the presentation, because it's all these just notes that he made, and I think people have to decide what order to put them in and what translation to use and that sort of thing, because he wrote them in French. And so maybe I didn't get maybe the Penguin just isn't the best one out there, and I should find a different one. But to me, it was too scattershot. Like, I didn't understand it. So I would like to read about Pensees first, and maybe, I think Dr. Kreeft has written something. So maybe I should go to him first. I think I need help, or if I could take a course or listen to a podcast on it or something. I think I need more support in reading the Pensees. The Problem of Pain I've not read, but I would like to read it. So that's something. Both those I want to read. Okay, and then classic philosophy. He recommends The Apology of Socrates by Plato and The Consolation of Philosophy by Boethius. I think I've read chunks of The Apology way back in college. I don't know if I feel that driven to read that, but I really have been wanting for years to read The Consolation of Philosophy. So I'm hoping that I get to that pretty soon. Is it dark? I feel like the sun went behind a cloud. It's kind of dark. Anyway, okay, the next category, we're coming to the end here. Popular philosophy. He recommended the book St. Thomas Aquinas by G.K. Chesterton, which I've read that one. And Orthodoxy by G.K. Chesterton. I've read that one as well. St. Thomas Aquinas, G.K. Chesterton is funny in that when he's writing these biographies, he's using the life of the person he's writing about as sort of a skeleton or a framework for telling you his own ideas. So it's not like a real factually based biography. It's much more philosophical, but it's G.K. Chesterton's take on, you learn G.K. Chesterton's worldview through it. So anyway, I've read both those books. Under history, he lists The Everlasting Man. This is an overlap. I think both Consolation of Philosophy and The Everlasting Man is an overlap with C.S. Lewis's books, list of the 10 books that most influenced him. So I have read The Everlasting Man. And then the second book he recommends is The Lady of Guadalupe and the Conquest of Darkness by Warren Carroll. I don't know if I've attempted that one before. I have a little bit of a prejudice against Warren Carroll because he's extremely Catholic. He's a Catholic historian, but it's like almost, I don't feel like he's that objective. I almost feel like there's propaganda there. And I'm Catholic, and I'm totally into the Lady of Guadalupe and everything, but I feel like he's heavy-handed. So I don't know. A lot of people really like him. A lot of Catholics who study Catholic history like him. I'm just not sure. So I'm not sure about that one. Then under just plain theology, he has listed Mere Christianity and the Summa Theologica. So Mere Christianity is like, the most summarized version of what it is to be Christian. And then you've got the Summa Theologica, which is like books and books of this scholastic, logic about dealing with all sorts of theological issues. Mere Christianity, I read about half of that many years ago. I had trouble with it. So I am sort of hit or miss about C.S. Lewis. As I read more and more of him, I'm coming around to him more. But there's some books that don't hit me so well. And this one, I know everybody, thinks it's a great introduction to Christianity. I can't remember why it bothered me. I think at the time, so I'm really, really sensitive to anti-Semitism. Even though I read British authors like Anthony Trollope and Evelyn Waugh and, Dorothy L. Sayers, I mean, they're really anti-Semitic. Or they're not really, but it crops up in their writing. And I feel like somehow, this is my memory. I could be being really unfair to C.S. Lewis, but my memory is that there were just sort of things in there that were, to me, seemed like they were verging on anti-Semitism. So I don't know, that's my memory. Is very hazy. But the other thing I remember, and I can't remember if it's in Mere Christianity or I just found out about it at the same time, he was really pro-death penalty. And I just don't agree with that at all. And so as an introduction to Christianity, those were just two elements that turned me off, and I found myself kind of distrusting him. Now, this was a long time ago. I hadn't read very much Lewis at all. But I just had such a bad impression of that book in spite of the fact that everybody recommended it. So, I don't know, I should probably go back and maybe it will seem like a completely different book to me. I don't know. Anyway, the Summa Theologica, that is not a book or a collection of books that you sit down and read from cover to cover. To me, it's more of a resource when you're asking a question about a particular theological point. You go and you look up what St. Thomas Aquinas had to say about it. And he will give all the arguments pro and against. So actually he does the against and then he does the pro. So yeah, I've read little bits of it. I actually have a book by Dr. Peter Kreeft called The Summa of the Summa Theologica, because Summa means, I guess it means the summit or like the summary. So I've never even read it. I bought it, and then it's just been sitting on my shelf. So maybe I should read that first. Okay, and then the last category is poetry, and the two books that Dr. Peter Kreeft thinks you should read before you die are two poems are Lepanto by G.K. Chesterton. I've never read that. I know about the Battle of Lepanto, but I have not read this poem. I don't think it's an epic poem, but I don't think it's really long. And The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. I would love to read The Wasteland. I think it would be a hard endeavor, but I think it would be incredibly worthwhile. So, yeah. So those are his two poems that he recommends that you read before you die. So this is going to be a very long video. Sorry about that. But I will talk to you later. I will come back with the second half of the list, which were all the bonus books. And yeah, okay. I hope you're doing well. Happy reading. Bye.